The world is full of things to do. Some have to be better than the others. This is my opinion, of course, but ultimate hobby tier list, sports is straight to S. Fantastic use of your time. You could do it by yourself. You could do it with your best friends. I mean, sports is like the probably the most popular pastime, truly, and obviously very popular. I love sports, almost every single one. It's great. S tier. Chess, I also really love. It's a game played around the world. It's very easy to learn how to play, but the skill level or the skill gap is just, I mean, the more I learn about chess, the further away I realize that I'm not that good. Or the more I realize that I'm not that good, it's just very, very difficult to be excellent in. You have to be very smart, but it's fantastic nonetheless. Astrology, this is a bit of a red flag. If you're really into astrology, like when you were born completely dictates how you're supposed to act or react to things. That's my understanding of it. If you have a different understanding, let me know. But astrology is going to go D tier. Acting could easily go S tier, and that is where it's going to go. It's fun. Very difficult at times depending on what you're asked to do and what you're asked to give to your scene partner. But nevertheless, acting is very, very popular for a reason. It's very fun if you're willing to put yourself out there. And for me, acting is going to go S tier. That's also where anime is going to go. Anime is fantastic. I was not a believer for quite a while. High school didn't really believe, dabbled with Cowboy Bebop. College dabbled with Death Note. But here we are out of university as a grown adult, and I can confidently say anime is amazing. I have recently finished the saga of One Piece. It's fantastic. Watch the show if you haven't. Astronomy, however, is a really cool hobby in comparison to astrology. Astronomy, people who go out, look through their telescopes and take pictures of or look at the stars and planets, I think that's really cool. I took an astronomy class as well and enjoyed it. Chemistry, again, this is my opinion. It's going to go in the middle of the road. Not one I would actively seek out, but the experiments that I was doing when I was in school in chemistry class were fun. Computer science is going to go C tier. I don't think many people would consider this to be a hobby. Maybe there are some out there who think the opposite of what I just said, but I know computer science is another one that's really difficult from my understanding, and coding in and of itself is just a complete different language. So they do make great money though, however, I hear. So if you're into computer science, keep going. The money is there. Cooking, if we're just talking about the act of cooking specifically, it's S tier. If we're including the cleaning aspect with cooking, then it would be much lower, but that's not what the square says. Cooking is really fun, creating things, trying new spices out, combining different spices, especially if it's something that you've made a couple of times and have perfected the recipe for. Cooking is really, really fun, but cleaning, not as much. Auto, we'll assume that it's meaning cars for auto. I don't know what else it really could mean. While I am not the best with cars and wish that I knew more, it's a really cool hobby, I think. If someone were to just, we all know those people who can pop the hood and stare at the engine and actually know what they're looking at. And, the Dominic Torettos of the world, very cool hobby. It's going to go A tier for me. Cosplay is going to go B. Conventions, there are cosplayers everywhere. And I think it really depends on the convention for me of where it would go higher or lower, and that's why it's in the middle. Some costumes are incredible, and the ones from anime specifically I think are marvelous to look at. The people who go and put through the effort of creating their own costume, round of applause, but it's going to be in B tier for me. Crafts is going to go B tier as well. It's not something I, like to do in my free time. To me, crafts feels like work, which I know isn't the case for a lot of people. If I were giving the craft to somebody as a gift, then I think it would be more fun. But for the most part, any craft that I could make, I feel like I could just buy and save the time. So that's why it's going to go B tier for me. Drawing is fun. When you're free time, you doodle. I'm not the best, drawer by any means, but I wish that I was better. It's really cool to see people make paintings with pictures or make paintings with pencils and pens and such. I think it's a really cool hobby to have. Editing. Oh gosh. If you've watched my tier list videos, you know these are very raw. I do them in one take and don't edit my videos for long form very much other than what you guys can see in front of you now. Love-hate relationship with editing. I've done a ton of it, and that's probably why I'm not into it as much anymore. But it is a bit of a grind unless you're really enjoying, putting a story together. Editors do have a ton of power as well. I mean, they really control the narrative of whatever video you're trying to create. So I just don't prefer spending my time in it. But if you do like editing, stay in it because it's something that you can get money in as well, I believe. It's just a grind. It's just a grind of a hobby. Exercise is going to go straight into S tier, at the top of S tier. Do it and it makes you feel better. There's scientifically proven to make you feel better. I believe that endorphins just go crazy in your body when you exercise. It's hard to do. It's hard to get yourself to do, but it's something you are very happy that you did afterwards. S tier for exercise. Fashion. I think fashion is cool. I think people who go out and find pieces of clothing that aren't super, super designer, really expensive, name brand stuff, and are able to put together cool outfits just with, average price clothing, that is cool. But the fashion culture of people who can spend the most money on the most expensive brand and put together an outfit of all those brands is the reason why it's going to be in B tier for me. I love gaming. I have a Switch. My Xbox is actually out of commission now. I have an Xbox One, and it keeps breaking, or it just doesn't start up as much. Like, it keeps saying I have to reset it over and over. But I have a Switch, a PS5, an Xbox. I've always loved video games since I was a kid. I've played an insane amount of hours of video games. I love it. That is why I'm going to put it in S tier. I think it's fantastic. Love video games. I wish that I could use the amount of time that I've put into it to build towards something productive, honestly, because it's an insane amount of time that I've put in video games. History. I like American history the most because I'm from here, but world history is also really cool. Taking those classes when I was in school was really fun and one of my favorite subjects. So I'm going to put history in B tier. It's important to know where we've come from in order to avoid the bad places that we've been in the future. That was a bar. Language. Language is A tier. I have Duolingo. I've been slacking heavily, but learning new languages is very difficult. However, probably one of the more rewarding things that you could experience, especially if it's a language that is in a really select area. What I've been doing on Duolingo is Spanish, obviously. That's the language I'm most proficient in other than English. French, very, very little. No, I know very little. And then Korean and Japanese as well are all the ones that I've kind of got going in my app there. It's fun. It's just really difficult. Magic is at least B tier for me. I don't know a single magic trick personally, but the feeling of how did they do that, what did I just witness is pretty cool. I'm not one of the ones who prefers really extreme, sort of magic that I'm like, whoa, I kind of wish I didn't watch that type thing. But the Now You See Me movies, that type of magic, it's really fun. Martial arts is going to have to go A tier. While I don't have much combat experience and no martial arts experience myself, I do think people who do it as a hobby are really cool people, disciplined as well, and it's a very useful life skill to have. Math is going straight into D tier. Not a math person. And I will say, regardless of how old you are watching this video, you're not going to be using probably 90% of the math that you're learning in college, especially like 80% of the math in high school. It's just a really, really difficult subject that we have computers for that could do everything that it needs you to do. So, I mean, of course, knowing how to add and subtract, multiply and divide is probably essential, but after that, I don't know how much math you really need. Memes, I'm not a big meme person. I know that meme culture is massive. iFunny is an entire application dedicated to memes, but I have rarely ever found myself laughing out loud at a meme of the thousands that I've seen. So we'll put it C tier. Painting, though, is really cool. I'll put painting S tier. It's something I haven't put much experience into, but something I would want to do more of in the future. I think you can be as abstract as you want with painting and still make a cool looking canvas. So it's going to go S tier. Very, very fun hobby. Photography is also going S tier. I have many interests, as you can tell, and photography is one of them. I have a camera that I've taken many shots on. It's really satisfying to be able to take a picture that you're proud of and look back on, especially when you're traveling a few months later. Taking videos, taking shots of interesting angles, It's also really cool to see different people's eyes and how different people can be taking pictures of the same thing, but each of them go about it in a different way. So photography is awesome. Physics we'll put in D tier. I've taken a physics class before and I didn't hate it, but it's not a social science, and those are my favorite types of sciences. It's going to go C tier for that reason. It's very, math and formulaic intensive, so we'll put it in C tier. Playing instruments, that's going to go S tier. I have a bass and a keyboard. A bass I have more experience with, but I need to spend more time doing, truthfully. It's something that you have to be consistent with in order to see consistent growth, but playing instruments is incredible. To the people who are able to play the piano or play the guitar at a party automatically get cool points, and for that reason, it's going to go S tier. Instruments are awesome. Psychology is going to go A tier. Very interesting subject, and it's interesting to learn about why people think the way that they do. For me, it's not one that I have spent a ton of time in studying personally, but I think it's a cool subject overall. This is a big one. Reading. I know I need to read more. I know that people have put thousands and thousands of hours of the most brilliant minds onto pages and books. It's just not something that I do much anymore now that I'm out of school, to be completely honest with you. It's going to go C tier just for my personal disinterest of not really loving to do it. It's something that I need to do more of and need to grow into, truthfully, to become a better communicator and human. I recommend reading. If you like doing it, use your as much as you can to learn as much as you can, because, there's endless knowledge in books. I'm going to put it B tier in the middle. It should be higher, but that's where it is just because of my personal interest. Robotics I have very, very little experience in. So truthfully, it doesn't seem like it can be any higher than C tier, but it does seem like a cool thing to do, especially if you're in a club with other people, creating a machine and doing, so it can do tasks or whatever it is. I think is a really cool subject, but I just don't have much experience in it personally. Excuse me. I can't quite tell what this one says. It looks like it starts with an S, S-O-U, S-O-U-L. I can't tell what that says, so it's going to go D tier. Sewing, we'll put in C tier. Very useful skill to have if you are thinking about learning how to sew. I recommend doing it. A matter of fact, I actually had a button come off of one of my favorite pair of work pants recently. Very sad situation. I am actively looking for someone who can sew it back on. So it's a really useful skill to have. And if you like doing it as a hobby, keep going. You're doing well. Singing. I'll put singing in A tier. People who sing too much is kind of annoying in my opinion personally. However, singing along to music or singing along to a movie, fantastic. Singing in, every now and then, fantastic as well. But it's going to stay out of S tier just because I think people who are constantly singing, it can be a little frustrating to listen to. However, streaming is going to go straight to S tier. I've recently started streaming a lot more, and the link to my Twitch channel is in the description. It's super fun. I don't really do it to an audience because, I don't have an audience yet on Twitch, but I think it's really fun streaming. I stream chess. I stream Overwatch, and those are the two I've streamed so far, but I'm also going to get into Marvel Rivals, another video game, and Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm thinking about as well, a bit more niche there of a game, but yeah, that's where I'm at with streaming. Super fun. I would love to do it every day with a larger audience, but got to grow my videos first before I can do that. Streaming's awesome though. Studying is C tier. If I like the subject that I'm studying or what I'm studying for, I have no problem with it because it's necessary, but at the end of the day, it is a means to an end for the most part. A lot of people who are studying forget a lot of the information that they've learned simply just to pass a test or get a job or whatever it is. So for me, it's going to go C tier, but it's not the worst thing in the world if it's a subject that I like doing. Swimming is going to also go into B tier. I don't swim that much. I mean, if we're just talking about standing in the pool, chilling, or if we're talking about standing, no deeper than waist deep in the ocean. If you go in the ocean further out than your waist, you are a madman, and I will keep my distance from you. But I'm a little bit afraid of the ocean, if you couldn't tell. However, I think swimming is fine. I get swimmer's ear if I'm in the water too much and it hurts. So it's not something I do that much as an adult, but as a kid, I would probably have put it in S. TV it's either going to go in A or S. We'll put TV in S tier. I don't watch as much now that I'm creating videos every day and I have a full-time job that I'm working at all the time. But when I had more free time, or if I had more free time, I mean, me and my fiance love watching TV together, like a show together. I'm a big sitcom person other than anime. I mean, if we're not calling anime TV, then I would say just specifically sitcoms for TV shows are really fun. But if we're including streaming services watching movies on TV, then, I mean, it's way higher. I love movies more than shows personally. And finally, our penultimate hobby is writing. Writing's going to go C tier right next to studying. Again, if it's something that I like writing about, I don't mind it, but in school, I didn't really enjoy writing for the sake of it, for a random subject that I don't really care about or I'm not passionate about learning more. So it's going to go C tier. And if you've watched to this point in the video, I appreciate you so much. Subscribe and check out my other tier list that I've posted on my channel. I'm going to be back tomorrow with yet another one, but make the dream a reality and click the sub button as well as the like. Thanks again. I will see you in the next one. Let me know what you would change and where you would switch things around. But other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you soon.